I've been reading a lot of books centered around a death occurring and how it affects the loved ones. And I've never really experienced death, and it maybe sounds heartless, but I don't know if death would affect me quite drastically as the way it does in some of these novels. But there is one thing that I found really interesting about it. I was reading The Goldfinch. I was like, oh, whoa, wait, okay, so um no one knows what to say to people when they're grieving. And then when I was reading Blue Sisters, I was like, wow, okay, this guy just said what I thought in the last book, which is that no one knows what to say to anybody. So like it's interesting to me, right? Because we've all experienced grief, right? Like we all have. So why do we all not know what to say? So I wonder what I would say. I think I'd say like if somebody died and somebody was affected by it. I guess it depends on the relationship we have, you know, because I'd like to be like, I'd be like, oh, come over, let's have lemonade and talk about it, and we can paint watercolor pictures together, and you know, and we could sob, and then I could just, you know, be there for you and do whatever you ask. But like the truth is, like, I actually know there was a time whenever I was actually tested with this in my life, which is also I've gotten back into stretching, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Like my body feels so much better. Like there really is a difference, by the way. If you just stretch for like 20 minutes, 5 minutes a day, you really do feel it. Like your body just feels more mobile, and you feel more like, you know, like those cartoons. You know, yeah. Yeah, I recommend you start to stretch, even if it's just a little bit, even if just a little bit every day. It's really important for everybody. Everybody can do it. And if you have trauma, it really is known to help, especially in the hip area, because apparently trauma is stored in the hips. I don't know how accurate that is. I've heard that in, I heard that in therapy whenever I was 14, and I heard that like multiple times online earlier this year even, and I was like, oh, right. And I think last year a little bit. But online is filled with so much bullshit, but we all just eat it all up anyways. So here's me passing down maybe not factual information, maybe it is. But the truth is, whenever I did have a death occur around me recently, it was of these 100-year-old couple I know. And I had always wanted to ask, like, him and her, like, what's like a lesson, you know? But I never could muster it up. And when the husband passed, and there's just this old woman living alone, and they were married from 14. I was just like, I can't imagine. You know, when you're that old, you know, and like we ask her about it, and she's like, I'm too old for this shit. I love people because like we're so real. Oh my god, I love people because like seriously, it like the sass never dies. Like you may think, oh, I'll get old, my body will cripple, but your sass maybe won't. And I love that. And that's beautiful and cute. But you know, I never asked him like anything and I wish I had. And you know, I never said anything to her about it happening, even though I really felt for her, and I would like even tear up, and I never said anything about it because I didn't know how. And that is exactly what I just read about. So it's like leading into that, I guess I want to talk about bystanding. Actually, why have I never talked about bystanding? So when I was in school, we read this whole like really dark thing about this girl getting sexually assaulted, and a whole bunch of people witnessing it and doing nothing and bystanding because they assumed somebody else would have already done something or something along those lines. And I remember reading it and, you know, not, and trying my best not to exclude myself, being like, oh, I wouldn't bystand. To be honest, I think I could potentially bystand, and I hate that. I hate that. But I've experienced a lot of bystanding in my own life, like, in February of this year, I was in an Uber as this guy, like, punched me and was talking about how he wants to kill himself. And the Uber driver heard all of it, and he almost missed the turn. And then the guy I was with was like, no, no, dude, it's this way. And he was like, sorry, there's just a lot of chaos going on back there. And he was like, oh, I know, it's crazy on the roads tonight. I'm like, no, he's talking about you. But nothing happened, you know, and so it was very confusing. And also, like, right before I got in the Uber, he was, like, yelling at me, and there were all these people because we just got out of a game. And no one did anything. So it's not in the way of, like, oh God, I wish people did something. It's, like, in the way of, like, so, like, at the time, it was, like, that much harder for me to be like, oh, maybe that's problematic, which just sounds weird, but when something, which gets me thinking about how many other things are we, like, forced into normalizing, like, that feel wrong, and then we're just like, oh, well, everybody's not doing anything, and so it must be normal, you know? But another time that I had bystanding happen was also in that relationship. The end of it, I was being called a slut. He was drunk, trying to get in my driver's seat. I was telling him to just sit in the passenger, not drive. I was very calm, and he's very aggressive. And maybe my calmness kind of threw people off. Maybe they were like, oh, well, she seems okay. You know, she's not crying, she's not freaking out, she's not asking for help. She's very calm. Maybe this is normal for them, you know what I mean? Fortunately, maybe it was starting to become normal. But, yeah, and there were these guys in the lot, and they were, like, around my age, and none of them did anything. Nobody stepped up and did anything. And later on that night, like, it was just really scary, and I wish somebody had stepped up. But then, at the same time, I can't really say that because, like, you know, the police were phoned. So it's, like, maybe bystanding to an extent. So maybe it's, I don't know. Bystanding is very interesting to me, because I've even had friends do it, too, you know, like, when I had really severe acne, whenever I'd go to a store, you know, the woman would give me tips or tell me about how I'm pretty, but I could be prettier, and it would always make me cry. And, you know, my friends never, like, stood up for me, they never did anything, and in a way that's kind of bystanderish, you know, but it's hard, you know, like, I don't even think, like, I'm not blaming anybody for bystanding, I'm just noticing that, wow, yeah, it's common, but I'm also understanding, like, why exactly. Oh my goodness, my little guy fell off of the rock. But it's just like I'm understanding why exactly we are so easily to bystand, because, like, if you think about it, you also just don't want to be. It's interesting how in moments where people are getting hurt, or whether it be emotionally or physically, like, we don't want to what's the word, we don't want to what's the word, one moment, specific word I'm thinking but I can't think of, but we don't want to, like, start a fight. I feel like it starts with a C. Like, we don't want to be, it's like it's like also like like you could be this, okay, whatever. So oh gosh, it's just on the tip of my tongue. That's, like, literally just in my head right here. It's right here. Okay. But I do understand why people bystand, and I really don't judge anybody for that. It is a hard thing to break because, first of all, you have to have confidence, first of all. Second of all, you have to know that you're right in the context, which, you know. And also, you have to, like, people, here's another thing. People do this thing where they, like, they'll, like, be shitty by being nice. Oh, gosh. And so, like, how are you gonna call somebody out whenever they're smiling at your face and they're, like, low-key being horrible, but they're being nice? You know what I mean? You know? But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I just think, like, what the fuck? It makes sense why people have bystood. And right now I'm reading a book, and it's, like, making me think about society and class again. I've had so many books this year where there's just, like, a caste system, or, like, in people's head, whether it be, it's usually with money. Like, there's an upper and there's a lower. I didn't realize root beer was no caffeine. Oh my god, I think root beer is becoming one of my favorites. Just saying. Because, I also like those, not the poppy sodas, but the, Ollipops. I tried the poppies because those were, like, clustering, and I was like, I swear to god, these are not the ones that I got. And then I bought 3 of them, and I was like, I mean, they're mid, they're not as good. And then I found the Ollipops, but they're all in, like, a box. I bought, like, $10 worth of these. 4 cans. But it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine. I know that's probably a good price, but like I wish it was $1 a can. $4. Anyways, I know why it's not. It's because it's like healthier soda. I've always liked watching, but I've recently I'm kind of outgrowing it, I could tell, is body language analysis videos. Like, you know, whenever like somebody like analyzes, you know, body language in the video. It's like a reaction video, but to their body language. Yeah, I really used to like those because like I was like really fascinated with how people behaved and acted. But like, I'm gonna be honest with you, the more I move through life, the less shits I give. And also this is like another thing, as I don't like how I laid out that sentence. Hold on. One thing I've been thinking about recently is the fact that I don't think anything, oh please, I know this maybe sounds dumb as shit. But I don't think anything is really truly deep, you know. I think we give things depth and that's beautiful, but I don't know if like truly, like, because sometimes I think about life in a raw kind of way of like you know, like those close-up National Geographics where it's like the bug is eating the bug kind of thing, and it's like life, you know, and it's like a montage. There's like flowers and birds in the sky, and like a lion catches a deer and eats it, you know, kind of that. And that, whenever I think of life kind of in that way, which I can't really tap into right now, because right now I'm like, no, things have meaning, you know, like everything has meaning, even little things, because I'm at the same time very much so that person. Like, if I see something, I think, like, not always, but sometimes I'm like, oh, like, what does that mean? What is that foreshadowing? Like, I treat it like a novel to analyze, you know, or even sometimes I'll just be like, oh, it's a sign, you know, of something, you know. So obviously I'm kind of being hypocritical by saying I don't think things have depth, but I do think they have meaning. I don't know. That's so dumb. But no, but like truly, like I don't think most things are that deep. And in a way, I feel like right now in this stage of my life, I feel kind of desensitized to a lot of things. Like, I don't know how to explain that. I just feel like not a lot of things could really, I don't know. I don't want to get cocky and like give myself a death wish right now, but I don't feel like a lot of things could knock me down. Like I don't really feel like I know obviously if I were to do something stupid and get myself involved into some dumbass shit, I could probably get lower than I've ever been. But I just feel like I've been pretty low, and I don't know, I adapt really well, and I like to think I alchemize my bad into good. I'm not proud of everything and every way I decided to handle things, but I definitely feel smarter because of it, and I definitely feel like I can handle things, or at least navigate in a way where I kind of have a brain. Like in the past, I'm gonna be honest with you, like my mom used to yell at me a lot as a kid, and she'd be like, why would you do this, you know? And I would say something like, I didn't think about it, you know. And it's true, I actually don't tend to think about it. I'm very impulsive sometimes, which is not very good. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I'm necessarily impulsive, because I actually, every single time I like make an impulsive act, without thinking about it, I usually back out actually. But when I have a little bit of time to kind of think about it and then throw it away, and then think about it and then throw it away, and then just impulsively do it. Do you know what I mean? That's how I'm kind of impulsive. But I can be impulsive like in decision making. Sometimes I don't think about everything, but I would say just in the past 2 years, that's really grown. There's a lot of things that I did whenever I moved out at 18 that I would not do. And a lot of things I didn't have figured out that I'm like, how was I planning to navigate that? But okay, all right, I mean, I'm here. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I expect more dumb decision making in my future that will only teach me. And actually, I'm at a point in my life where it's like, give me good, give me bad, give me whatever, because I love challenges and I love change, and even though it may kick me down, I'm prepared for that, and I want that. So I don't know, hopefully something eventful takes place, because holy shit, am I right? But anyways, thank you for coming.